I'll get started. So this presentation is about revolutionizing career coaching. We, Jewel, I, and some other founders have formed Coach Unk. And we have a website, a landing page, coachunk.com. And our mission is to revolutionize career coaching for Black men specifically. To do this, we're using a back end of large language models that are finely tuned and connected with relevant data. And so in this presentation, I want to give a brief overview of AI used in the career coaching industry and give a little background as to what's behind our solution. So please feel free to ask any questions at any time. So we found that there is great demand for new coaching tools that either assist career coaches or that support people who are climbing the corporate ladder. And from our market research, we've seen that there are quite a lot of business models that are emerging for large language models, generative AI agents, in particular for the coaching industry and for career coaches in particular. Some of those we've seen are agents that are assisting coaches directly. And some of those solutions have been tailor-made by coaches using proprietary tools like ChatGPT. We've seen other solutions geared toward large enterprises, specifically large enterprise HR departments that are providing general coaching solutions for their employees. And what Coach Ung is trying to do, our contribution in this market is to present a solution that has cultural relevance to its users, Black men, and is based on expertise that is not generalized. So the solution we're offering offers expertise from Black coaches who coach Black men and have a perspective that you're not going to find on a ChatGPT general large language model. It has to be baked in. And of course, we're using generative AI technology. So here are some key user needs. One is when people engage coaches and when people are looking for virtual coaches, they want personalized coaching. They want to have a solution that is tailored just for them, or advice that is tailored just for them. Often, the first step that people take is to ask a general tool like ChatGPT for advice. And ChatGPT can give you some general advice. I mean, it's absolutely, it's built upon some books that are self-help and career books. So based on that, it can give you some general advice, but it's really not tailored to a specific situation. And so that's one thing that Ankh is going to remedy, and we've seen also other solutions out there that go beyond just a general answer and provide more tailored and more bespoke guidance. The second thing users look for is cultural relevance, particularly for users and clients that are not in the majority. I can relate to this one because in my mid-career in corporate America, I sought at one time coaches, and the ones I found really didn't get me or get some of my concerns. So I was a Black man in Silicon Valley, and I had to deal with situations that most people in Silicon Valley had to deal with, but there were some unique ones that were tailored towards being kind of isolated, having a code switch. When I approached coaches, they really didn't get that, or they dismissed it. And so it was pretty hard for me to find a good coach. I never did find one, actually. So yeah, so we want to remedy that as well. using a good knowledge base and using real coaches that have real experience in coaching Black men to guide the agent's output and guide our training of the AI agents. And then the third thing people want, they don't want advice that you can just get anywhere. You can read off of a fortune cookie, fortune. They want they want to see behavior like a top coach. They want to get guidance from a top coach. Else we're just wasting our time, or they're wasting their time. Uh, and so I put here the advice must be actionable and geared towards success. And the way we remedy that in the UNC solution is to use real coaches and use multiple agents for multifaceted interactions. So we don't just have one agent behind the scenes or behind the curtain. We have several agents that are governing different parts of the interaction with the client. Yeah, so I'll stop here. Any questions? Okay. And so what is the landscape of AI coaching? And like I mentioned before, there are some I call them vanilla Gen AI coaches. So anyone can go to ChatGPT or Gemini, ask it some questions about career, and what you'll get is a general answer that may or may not fit your situation. You could absolutely provide a very detailed background as to what you're looking for. You get a more general, you get a more tailored answer, but um, those solutions aren't geared towards personalization or memory. So once you leave ChatGPT, unless you have, I guess if you have the Pro, it'll still retain some memory of what you discussed. But in general, they don't keep a memory and they don't offer a tailored, personalized advice. So next, if you go to the GPT store, and I'm sure there are other sites that offer customized GPTs, there are several coach GPTs in the GPT store now. And there's some improvements there. So part of customizing a GPT is that you can feed it documents. And you can also give it really specific prompts to kind of add some customization or add some value there. But it still suffers from having less memory for interactions or less memory of the clients. And there are limitations as to the interactivity of the agent. So now we get into some more sophisticated solutions. You have multi-agent interactive agents, and there are a few startups that have appeared for these. Coach Hub, Rocky.ai, and Whisk. And what they offer are solutions that they're interactive and they keep memory. So if you engage in these with these coaches, over time they will remember the interactions that you had. But the drawback for these is that they have very limited interactivity. So they're passive. If you have questions or if you have problems, then you go to these and they'll give you some advice. In some cases, they will give you, like in the case of Rocky.ai, it'll give you a plan, but the proactiveness of these agents are very limited. And so good coaches are proactive in a lot of ways. And that's what we want to capture in UNC. So at the other end here, the more sophisticated tool is what we're working on, and that will be proactive. You'll go in you'll when you onboard with UNC, you'll give it an overview of your situation. It'll give you a prescribed plan, and then it'll follow up with you. It will ask you challenging questions, and it will do that unprompted. You won't have to go in and ask it a question. It'll come to you via text or email, and it'll start asking you questions and challenging you. That's what we're going for with UNC. So here I'm just digging into the tech needed at a high level. So one is what's called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. And that's where you connect an external database or external documents to the large language model or to the agent. And when you ask it a question, it'll search for relevant documents and use those to frame an answer or to draft an answer. And for Ankh, what we're going to use there is the customer data. So a description of the customer's background that's given during onboarding. Things like the customer's LinkedIn profile or resume or a statement of purpose from the client, and also coach and expert content. So we're for coach content, we're doing things like going on LinkedIn. So Jewel, for example, we've gone on LinkedIn, we've pulled in Jewel's posts, and we're using those as some of the content that we're using in RAG. I've also approached authors of books that talk about racism and in the corporate experience for Black people. And so we're going to use those books and do attribution to those authors. I'll talk about that in a bit. One example is the author of Plantation Theory. So I've approached him. He says he's very open to having us use this in our solution, his content in our solution. The second tool is large language model fine tuning. So the way we use that is we take sample dialogues between a coach and a client, and we feed those in, we train the model using those dialogues. And what it does is it gives the agent or the large language model an idea and a template on how to interact with a client in real time. So the third thing is author attribution. When we use a book, for example, let's say we use Plantation Theory, we put that into the database and we draw from that to answer a question. We want to be able to identify how much of a contribution that book made to the answer, and to be able to, if it's past a certain threshold, we want to be able to give a pointer to that book, like maybe an Amazon link to buy it. And we also want to do something called micro royalties, where every time there's a significant contribution by an author or a content maker, we can put some money into the till based on a percentage of our revenues and be able to give payouts. Lastly, here is an early roadmap for Ankh. So we're almost in Q4 20 of this year. We have an Ankh version 0. We're working on Ankh version 1. These are versions that are incorporating the different technologies that you saw in the roadmap before. And we're using those with internal to our team and with some beta users or some pre-beta users to improve the product. By October, we'll have the beta version of Ankh released. And so that'll be released to a limited number of users. We'll use that feedback to improve and release the alpha version of Ankh. So right now we're using synthetic dialogues. We're using author content. We're using content from LinkedIn by people who've given us permission. We want to do the author attribution by next year, be able to have that fully in place. Right now, we're going to start with a chat user interface. So very much like ChatGPT, but we want to eventually go to an animated avatar. So this is someone who has the image of Ankh. And do we have a, no, I don't have the image of Ankh here, but we have an image for Ankh. We know what Ankh looks like. And so when this happens, we're going to have, when you type in, you're going to have Ankh respond to you via voice, or maybe he'll be silent, but he'll gesture to you as he gives you an answer in chat. And then eventually we want to do a voice interface. So instead of typing in your concerns, you can just speak directly to Ankh, and Ankh will speak to you directly as well. Lastly, we're starting with the web app, and then we're going to move to mobile. So I think that's it. That's the presentation. So thank you all. Any questions?
Yeah, so just going back to your last slide. So thanks for sharing. This looks really, really, really interesting though. So you said you've gone live now, right?
Uh, no, so right now we're still working with prototypes. We have a
Okay, so it's a
website
beta
up, but
test.
it's basically a landing page. But next in October next month, we're gonna go live with a beta version and then alpha version.
Right. And you're gonna start with first the chats UI whereby I ask question and on replies me, but ultimately you want to get to a place whereby it's more voice. So physically speaking to somebody.
Right.
That's it. And all your inputs you're taking it from different sources, from books, from coach and client interactions. Or how you building a database.
You said, how am I building the database?
Yeah.
Some of it is document-based databases. So just like a Google storage, for instance, where we put the raw documents. And there are others that are NoSQL type databases like a Cassandra, for instance, where we put specific pieces of the documents. To create RAG, we have to really chop up each document and put it into a vector database. So we're using the vector databases as well. And then for um, for the operational aspects, like when the client talks to the chatbot, there has to be a log of the conversation so that we can learn from it and improve the
Mhm.
personalization. That will be done in kind of a NoSQL database like Cassandra.
Okay. No, it sounds very, very innovative. Thanks for sharing.
Sure, thanks for the question. Any other feedback or comments? Like, I'm curious, would any one of you on this call use a virtual coach? I'd
Yeah, I
love to.
would.
Mhm.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'd love to hear what you think about it, even if it's negative. It'll help us to make this better.
No, I tell you what, I'm actually going to be one of the authors, hopefully, that you guys are pulling information from. You're going to laugh. And I was going to show this to you one on one, but this is the group. So you mind if I share something with you right quick?
No, I don't mind. Give me a second to stop the share. Okay.
So, guys, I mean, I'm laughing because I've had a lot of people that have come to me and asked for advice, in corporate America and how to navigate it. And it's crazy. I'm actually working on um, a book, working with a publisher right now, and just finished my chapter listing a few weeks ago. And what I'm calling it is Dribble with Both Hands, uh, the quintessential guide for navigating corporate America while remaining relevant at the barbershop. And everything that you just talked about, there is something in there that someone who's trying to climb that ladder or just trying to keep their sanity in corporate America um, touches on one of those topics. So, of course, we've talked about it before, but I like the attribute that you're going to build in where there's the micro royalties, and then not even so much from the micro royalties perspective, but even being able to get notoriety for whatever you're doing or putting out there. So, now this is great, Keita, and we'll talk more about it.
Sure. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yep, we hear you.
This is really great. I like everything that you're doing. And yep, I will use a virtual assistant. I mean, I think it kind of helps with not being biased, if you like, for lack of better words, from, say, going to a regular person who might be limited as to what they know because of their experience and or education, I think this definitely is a good way to go.
Thank you. Have you ever engaged any of these AI tools for career advice?
Not necessarily for career advice, but for our business, we actually build AI applications.
Mhm.
So we use AI daily in almost everything we do. We have AI.
Oh, okay. What type of AI?
If it's say the regular AI of say matching say clients with specific services or building intelligent intake forms or just communicating with all your database and all your information that you have within your specific domain. We build all those.
Oh,
And
okay.
we partnered with AWS, Google, and Microsoft. So if you need maybe some discounts and things, reach out to me. I can definitely help with even your proof of concept. If you want to do that, we can have Amazon contribute quite a lot to that.
Okay, is that through like a startup program or is it what is or just through your vendor
Uh,
partnership?
through our partnership, yeah.
Ah, okay.
I mean the partnership, the one that the Activate, I think you're probably gonna get just $1,000 for, and unless you have maybe a VC backing. But what we do is because we're a partner, we can give the proof of concept funds for you to do your proof of concept, and probably most of the spend that you might have in if it's AWS or Google or Microsoft.
Okay, yeah, cool. That sounds good. Let's talk. I mean, I was thinking to join some of Google's startup, Google and AWS's startup programs.
Yeah,
They give quite a lot of credits there. So we need
yeah,
it for two things. So one is our front end developer is hosting this on AWS. So we'll absolutely need some help there. And I'm building a lot of the agents and the large language models, training them on Google Cloud. So absolutely,
awesome.
I'm GPU money. If you can help.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
we have a whole team. We have quite an extensive team which does this, and I mean I think the most attractive thing is, especially on a startup, is to be able to get your POC funded by AWS credits to do it.
Bingo.
right. Well, thank you. Well, absolutely, we'll be in touch.
Definitely. Do you have my contact there, or can be?
No. Are you on Mighty Networks?
Uh, yes, man, I'm on a lot of things. Let me just, I'll put my email in the chat here.
Okay, and I think I'm following you on LinkedIn. I'll send a connect to you.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, that's all I had for the presentation. Is there any other questions, or if not, then we can move to the discussion part. I don't have any topics of discussion, but if anyone would like to speak about something, the floor is open. Doesn't seem like anyone has any topics for discussion today. That's fine.
I mean,
It's
I can
Monday
just,
after football, Keita.
Oh,
I can,
football.
We're recuperating.
Ah, right.
I can discuss one other platform that we are creating for my other business. My other
Uh,
business would do commercial brokerage. Should I
mhm.
discuss that? I could probably do a quick overview of what we're doing there.
Does it use any kind of machine learning or AI?
All of it.
Okay, yeah, we'd love to hear about it then.
What we have a business which does commercial brokerage, But what we realized is just finding the correct leads and matching those with the lenders has been kind of difficult for a lot of people. So what we've done is we've built a database of, say, I want to say almost all the properties that are between 1 to 20 M in the US, all the commercial properties. And that within that data, we've even done skip tracing to get the owners and to get the mortgage that's sitting on there and to get all the details of the properties that we can find. Now we aggregate this data and match it with the database of the lenders that we have. So if you know anything about commercial lending, usually people get loans like maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
But with what happened through COVID, a lot of people did refinances and purchases at those extremely low rates, which were good. But now those loans are coming mature. So all those loans need refinancing. And usually it's not their initial lender who can refinance. And they've been having a struggle in finding partners that can refinance. That's where we come in with, we aggregate that data from them and aggregate data from the lenders and then match it. And when we send them out an offer, it's an offer that is like usually 98% close. And
Right.
that has been moving pretty well for us. That's my contribution to this discussion.
That's awesome, man. What can you explain to us what is skip tracing?
Say there is that building which is standing there. You can pretty much use, say, LexisNexis and other AI tools to see who owns it.
Ah, okay.
So when you see who owns it, it means you can now reach out to them and give them an offer. Okay, I know your building is coming mature in 6 months, and here is what we can potentially do for you, and see what their response is there. But usually we have meshed it with the lenders that we know will definitely be good to lend on that property.
Mm. And how long? What did it take to develop the machine learning behind this?
It took me, I don't know, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Wow. Okay. Cool.
I mean, 2
Have-
weeks because I ran 2 businesses already,
Sure.
and that's 2 weeks of maybe 4 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been doing machine learning before generative AI showed up, so I kind of have ideas on how things work.
Right. Thank you, Steven. I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a comment, and now my dog decides to bark when I come off of mute. So I was listening to the prior speaker, and I'm trying to understand the differentiator. I understand the technology and AI is being used, but if I'm a consumer, why would what's the value add to me as a consumer in terms of why go here versus working through a mortgage broker versus my real estate agent, or if it's commercial, my attorney, et cetera. I'm trying to understand kind of that perspective a little bit more. And then the second question probably doesn't apply as much in commercial lending as it does in residential. But if you're doing any residential, maybe it applies, and that would be, how do you address model bias or something like that? And just for background, besides AI, I'm also a licensed California broker, and I've done banking for a decade. So that's the genesis of my questions.
Great question. Let me answer the last one before the first one. We focus mainly on commercial real estate. So even with the bias, it usually, because we are just using the property matrices rather than the person to begin with. So that's usually out of the question. And going to this first question, if say you are a commercial mortgage broker, you do have your contacts, yes. But I'm sure you have faced that clients come in and you cannot find a home for that specific loan. But with our system, you can just upload the details and then it can help within, I don't know, 2 minutes, less than that. It can figure out who can lend on that type of property and who has lent on such scenarios before. So you know who to reach out to. But on top of that, since you do your own generation already anyway, the way you do it, which say, for instance, for us, we used to just have like this huge email list, which you do, maybe somebody still owns the property, somebody doesn't own it. But we're now targeting to people who specifically own it because we know they own it, they purchased it when and for how much, and what is the loan amount there, what's the interest rate. So we target specifically those owners, which means we cut out sending 20,000 emails to just get maybe 5 responses. Because now we're sending to, if we're sending 20,000 emails, we're sending 20,000 targeted emails to property owners who we know what the building they have, and we know when the loan is getting mature, and we have an idea of maybe the leverage they have on that loan. So when we're giving them an offer after matching with our lenders, we know exactly what we're giving them and why it should work for them. Does that make sense?
It does. I appreciate your answer. Thank you for that. It sounds like you're putting your target market are kind of the customers who are maybe not working with a mortgage broker or commercial lender with an embedded system that, you know, tells them on the back end all the different people that they can shop it out to, right? So you're kind of looking for someone who's going a little bit more alone, or you're looking for that independent mortgage broker who might need a little bit of a boost in terms of the systems that they use.
Correct. I think it's probably the best one would be the brokers, because we have a database of, say, I want to say a good percentage of all the lenders, private, SBA, hard money, institutional, CMBS. We have a database of all of them, including the matrices that they look for. So if you are a broker, if you are on our system, you do not necessarily have to go and find everyone out there or call everybody out there to say, hey, here's the deal that I have. Will this fit for you or will this not? Because we have done most of the work already for you. So you can just upload it and see which one matches. Or if you have your own other lenders that might not be listed, you can still add them there. And the other big advantage is with the access to borrowers and property owners who already have a property that needs financing, that might have reached out to something or not, you now have a chance to reach out to them and present what you can do for them.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for sharing that. Are there any other topics people would like to discuss? Okay, well, we can end the call a little early. So I've been reaching out to get, I'll call it the second season of the AI talks. Some content providers, some speakers. And I found a few good speakers. Some of them are startup founders, AI startup founders with great background in machine learning. There are others that are people who broke into data. So, for instance, we have one good speaker who was a salesperson for decades, and he decided to break into data. And it took him a few years, but now he's a data scientist. He's gotten roles as a data scientist. So he went from no code to basically a data scientist This is a Black man, so I think he has some great things to share with people about career switching if they want to. So look forward to seeing a schedule soon. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keita.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.